Meow, Huples cat. My stove has got COVID-19, which is why I'm wearing a face mask and gloves and long sleeves and eyeglasses. This is the fiberglass door gasket for the stove, and it is in fact burned away and fallen off, so we have to replace it. And Kitty's got the home hardware to get this and the concrete that you need to clean it. And so I'm going to set this up, get it ready to clean it again with the wire brush when she gets back, and get it on. The reason you should wear an N95 and gloves and eye protection and long sleeve when you're handling fiberglass is a little bits of fiberglass, if you inhale them or they get into cuts, will eventually find their way into your lungs and they will lodge there. And over a period of 5 to 30 years they will cause cancer. It's well known, well documented science, so take it seriously. Once I finish with these rags that I'm using to collect stuff, I'm going to take the rags very gently outside, put them in the bag and seal the bag. I'm also going to take off my outer layer of clothing outside and put that in a bag and put it directly into the washing machine. Yeah, the fiberglass will get into the water, but there's not a lot you can do. The gasket to seal the door on my modern fire stove has bust. Now this is the second time it's done this. It did apparently almost immediately they started using it 2 winters ago, and the company just told me to buy one and replace it. So it was replaced and it's held up for about a full 4, 5, 6 months of use, like it's daily use, it's on all the time. Stopped the pipes bursting last year, and also stopped the pipes bursting because we're living here for the last 4 months. So Kitty has gone out to get the gasket and the glue so we can replace this. So I've been online, it'll be our first replacement, and we'll see if we can do an okay job. Found out a whole bunch of tricks. So one of the major tricks we're going to do is cleaning it and getting it ready, getting it dry, and using masking tape, and 2 of us doing it and all that sort of stuff. So it should be interesting to see how this goes. But first off, you need a flathead screwdriver. And you want to get rid of any concrete traces. And the concrete traces on this is actually orange, which you probably can't see there. I will zoom in on it for you. So there's pretty much no concrete on this. But I want this as clean as it can go. So when I've done this, which is basically done because there wasn't much to do, I'm going to get a wire brush and really go at it. Once the wire brush has been done, I'm then going to use water to clean this off. And I actually might use a solvent to clean this off as well. I didn't buy this, but I got this about 9 years ago at my old cottage, and I've been using it ever since. I don't use much of it. It actually works pretty well. I suspect it's some sort of a lime or something like that. Actually, it's a really harsh chemical, so that's why I've chosen not to use it for the tiny bit of creosote that's left. And to be honest with you, creosote and soap buildup when you're burning wood is a very, very common thing. Anyway, so to try and have it pristine all the time would be ridiculous. But at the end of the season, I like to have my fireplace pristine, and I usually put flowers into the fire pit itself just to make some colour in there. But I don't have any flowers right now, so I'll have to look for some. Now what I didn't know, I don't know if you can see, is there's a gasket underneath the glass as well. So that's going to need changing eventually. So when we get to the big city and we can go to the manufacturer of this particular product, I'm going to get plenty of glue and plenty of gasket for the glass and for this. Now I want a metal plate for this in case this glass ever breaks. I want to put a metal plate in there that's not gasket dependent, that's going to last forever, so I can keep using the fire forever until it rusts, breaks, and gets holes in the top, I guess. Kitty's got a fair point. She says, well, why don't I just get one piece of glass to replace it, because it's tempered glass, right? Special glass, specially fit. So I'm going to see about getting 2 pieces of glass, but I still would like to have a metal backup. It's one of those things that if we don't have sufficient power and if the society has fallen, that having 2 pieces of glass means that you might get 2 years or 20 years out of the stove. But when the second piece breaks, you can't use the stove at all. Whereas if you have metal in here, you can. Yes, you don't get the light. Yes, you don't get you have to open it to see if the fire's doing well. Not a big deal once you get used to that, because that's how stoves used to be. So now, I'm waiting for Kitty to come with the wire brush. Fiberglass is not something you should mess around with, and it's kind of interesting to me that the design of these has evolved to the point where they look great, but if you're actually trying to use them daily, they're not going to last very long, purely because the gaskets are never going to last as long as you want them to. If anybody's got any experience of operating a fire like this without using gaskets, let me know in the comments. I'd be intrigued to know. I do think it's possible to do it, just because I don't think you absolutely need a flush seal on the fire grate. But what do I know, right? It's recommended not to operate without, to have that there. So that's what we're going to do. So because I'm bored, I'm just going to clean the glass. The reason I'm going to clean the glass is to get rid of any soot and debris, because I'm going to use masking tape, which seems like a really good idea to me, to secure the gasket, the door gasket. So I'm well pleased with that, so I'm not going to use my toxic chemicals to get rid of this piece of creosote here. I could do, but we're towards the end of February now, and by mid-April, end of April, hopefully, this fireplace won't be on. Now, as soon as we get the HVAC up and running and working, this fireplace won't be on. So I don't know for how much longer we're going to be operating this, so I'm not going to bother using harsh chemicals just to get rid of this piece here. I find this type of fireplace gets a phenomenal amount of dust here, and it's also hard to clean it out properly. Don't like the design of that at all. Live and learn, right?
Well, in this episode of Off Grid and Clueless, both Kitty and myself failed to understand that today is actually Family Day in Ontario and it's a holiday, so everywhere is actually closed and we can't get any gasket. So this goes back to my original point. You need to have more than one or two backups in place before you need the backup, because it might be Family Day, might not have any gas, might have a problem. So we're going to have to run it without the stove door gasket, which means we're going to be burning more wood, and there's a slight risk of carbon monoxide build-up. We are in a passive house, so we're going to have to keep windows cranked open. But frankly, it's going to be very hot anyway, so it's not a huge big deal. We're going to probably not start the fire today until it gets down towards freezing this evening. And once we get the gasket, we're not really going to be able to turn the fire off until the morning, and then we're going to have to do it really quickly. So I want to do as much of the prep work as I can now, and I have done. But yeah, it's Family Day. Happy Family Day. Well, it's the day after Family Day, and I have my wire brush, and I have my damp cloth. And we did run the fire last night, and very little heat is generated outside of the box. Huge sucking of air from the room into the box. No surprise on that one. So the other thing we did with it off is I have the flues shut to try and limit the amount of cold air coming down. So the house is holding its temperature pretty well. Anyway, I'm now going to do this and I will speed it up for you. Now you can of course take the doors off. With my particular model that's kind of inconvenient because it's actually screwed into place and it'd be an awkward thing to do. But even if it was a pull-out one, I don't know if I would actually bother to take it out and do it. Obviously if we have to change the gasket around the glass, it might be kind of awkward doing it without taking this out. But then you can take the glass out and put the gasket on without the glass there. So to be seen. So of course Kitty's helping with this, and because I was not thinking, I didn't put my N95 on. So I will. This is working really well. It's looking pretty clean. I'm just overdoing it. I'm doing inside the gasket where the gasket goes, and I'm doing on the edges of the gasket as well. The more better metal that is, the theory being, the easier it will be to stick. Alright, damp cloth.
Home Hardware sent me 2 emails. One is order pickup, your order's ready to be picked up. It's all good, right? Then they sent me one that says, thank you for shopping at Home Hardware, your orders have been picked up.
Alright, so I'm going to leave this for half an hour to an hour, then we're going to put the concrete on it, and Kitty's going to help me with that, and we will both wear masks this time. So it's nice and dry now. One of the things I want to know is how easy it's going to be to cut. So here's some of the old one, and when it's on, cuts quite easily, but it does flake and you do get the powdery everywhere, which is why I'm keeping it contained. Right, I think we're ready to do this. Oh, it's in a plastic bag, it's kind of a waste of money. Gasket glue.
Turns out that was hard to cut.
Alright, so I need to put 1/8 of an inch all the way around this piece, so I will start now. Whoop. So first off, that's interesting, so a wet damp cloth gets it off. Alright. So it might be easy to do this detached. Well, I tell you, it's dripping.
You know what concerns me about this?
What?
Is if you close the door and there's glue here,
Yeah.
and I glue it closed.
Yeah, we should be okay. I'm going to get drip onto this.
But this is going to touch that, it might glue it closed.
Yeah, so we didn't use much of this. Alright, so we leave this for 5 minutes and then I go around my finger.
Don't go around with your finger now.
Really?
Yeah.
What about this piece?
You don't want to go around with your finger when it's tacky.
Okay, so there's glue all over it. Where I really want glue is in the edges and where it's going to meet, which would be here, so that's really wet. This is not as wet as I'd like it to be. Interesting. No.
No?
No, I wanted to rip it down. This has got a ton on it. So, that sort of thing. All right, interested. See you in 5 minutes. So we've got a couple of minutes, so I'm getting the tape ready to tape this on with. And this is an old nursing trick, the bandages. Always fold over the edge, like so. And then when you come to take it off, it's easier. Okay, so 5 minutes have gone by. There's 2 ends to these commercial packages. Covered end and a non-covered end. So this is the end I'm going to cut at the end. So this is going on first. Manufacturers tell you to start in the middle. We watched online, people saying start there. I think that's a good idea. We decided to start here. And the reason for that is movement. It's really this one, searching very careful. Now online they say they kind of imbue this part of the proceeding with stress, like to get it done quickly. I find that somewhat unbelievable that you need to be that stressed, and we're just taking our time getting it done.
Yeah, it needs to be cut.
And this needs an extra piece here. And I'll leave 3 or 4 pieces for the end. So, what I'm thinking for this, because it bunches, is I am actually going to use more of this at this point, because I want this to adhere to each other. Not a lot, but just a little. Alright. Alright, how's that?
Good.
Alright, so now we close the door.
As long as we're sure there's no glue that's going to impede us opening the door.
No, I don't think it works that way. Nobody's warned us. There you go, shuts. Alright. So now we leave this 12 hours. We'll probably leave it probably
Was
9.
it tight shut?
Yeah.
Did it feel tight? Did you have to push it?
No, it feels tight.
Oh, they said it might.
So it's on. And in about 9 hours we'll put a little fire in there. Bit of kindling, let it burn out. Let it cool down for about an hour or 2. And then put the fire on. It should work. Removing the tape, of course. Thank you, Kitty.
I can't believe that was relatively easy. It was so excited.
Well, the only thing I would say is if you can't take the door off to put the glue in the grid into the groove, because that was the thing I wasn't anticipating. I thought it would be more concrete, so I didn't realise it would be like liquid glue, because generally speaking what I've seen online is orange stuff that's like a paste. So we got a cheap one, so that may be the issue for that. Because when we go to a big city and find the manufacturer, we can actually tool up with proper stuff for this. We did buy a second kit, anticipation is failing at some point, and we did buy a gasket kit for the glass, but I'd rather have the proper products. I don't know if this is exactly what we should be using, though it's all we had, so that's what we used. Alright, now we have to clean up and get rid of the fiberglass, and I will show you the fire later. 5 hours later, we've got cold. So let's see what happens. I'm just going to take the tape off, and then I'm going to light a quick proving fire. There you go. Here's some kindling I chopped earlier. So now the fire's caught, I shut the door and let that fire go out, and then we should have it proven.
The fire's doing well. I did not want this kindling to take. I wanted a slow fire just to proof the glue over the next hour or so. Yay, we have a working fire stove again. This has been brought to you by Egg Eating Terrier Production 2022. How's that, Puff? Is it good?